Well, in the spirit of giving and looking to the future, we are really excited to share with you all just another way that as we kind of come into the year end and look into the new year, that we have a strong vision for this church, as many of you do as well. You wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be tuning in online if this place didn't matter to you, if it hadn't in some way changed your life over this next year. And so today we are kicking off something that we are calling Year-End Strong Start. And each year, as a church, as Restoration, we come together as a community to not just take advantage of, tax benefits for charitable giving at the end of the year, but to really have this be a time where we center our hearts around Jesus. We center our intentions around what he has for us as a community. And so one of the things that is always kind of the foundation, the number one goal of any time we set out and do a year-end initiative is that we want to see 100% of our community step in and get involved in this. The truth is that 2023 has been a pretty incredible year. God has been so faithful. And as we head into 2024, we want to start off strong. We want to build upon all of what God has done. And while it's been amazing to see God's faithfulness, it's also, for a 3.5-year-old church, or coming up on 4 years, it's been a pretty rough couple of years to be a new church startup.
Like collectively in humanity.
A collective humanity. It's been a rough couple of years. And so many organizations, maybe in your workplace, you're maybe dealing with some of this, but we as a community want to really see ourselves shift out of survival mode into strategic simplicity. And so this is going to take 100% of us working together in order to see this come to pass. So again, that first and foremost, that number one goal is to have 100% engagement.
Yeah, and when we do make that shift this next year with your help and participation, this is going to be a big discerning year for us as a community about what does the future look like, how can we engage, specifically when it comes to ministry model and location and all that kind of stuff. And we really believe that God not only wants us to survive, but actually to thrive, right? I was talking to a friend this week and he said, God doesn't want you just to make it as a church. He wants you to make a difference. And while making it this long for the last, like I said, almost 4 years, seems like a feat in of itself. Many churches, many friends of ours as pastors, their church have not made it this long. It's been a challenging year. We actually believe that not only does God want us to sustain what we have been experiencing, but actually that there's a harvest waiting. There's more in store for the future. And so a couple parts. The reason we're calling it Year-End Strong Start is because it's kind of a two-part kind of giving initiative. We've never done this before, so we're trying it, and hopefully you'll participate with us. The year-end part is that by the end of 2023, we hope to raise $100,000 to put down in kind of what we're calling a Bold Faith Fund, that we would actually set it aside to enable us to engage in ministry in a new way next year. For those of you who have been a part of Restoration Church, we've shared this for the last 4 or 5 months or so. We've kind of been operating on a cash flow basis, which we have never missed a rent check. We've never not paid someone, not always on time, but everybody's been paid. But it's just one of those things that has limited how we've been able to project and look forward into what God is doing in the future. And as elders and staff, we've discerned that there's a real benefit to having kind of this reserve fund called a Bold Faith Fund, because it really will enable us to have bolder faith in the future. And so $90,000 of that $100,000 goal will be earmarked for that, set aside in a separate fund. And as with everything, 10% of everything that comes in to Restoration Church is earmarked to be spent outside of the walls of this church in ministry. And so for that $10,000 additional will be what we set aside for our Hope and Healing Fund. We started this past year, where we come alongside people in their mental health journeys or in benevolence needs, investing in marriages and even marriage care that has been something that's been needed in our community in big ways after these last 3 years. And that Hope and Healing Fund has paid massive dividends, and so that's going to be set aside for that for 2024 as well.
Yeah, and then you'll notice the second component of this goal is that for the strong start of 2024, we're inviting our community to a pledge, to seek God's guidance, to pray, to discern together as a couple or as a family or as an individual or amongst your roommates even, to really seek and to pre-side, meaning to decide ahead of time how we are going to direct, because God has entrusted us to be managers of all of the blessings, all of the financial gifts that He has given us are ours to steward. And so corporately, organizationally, we are looking to find a very healthy, sustainable financial stewardship, but that takes a little bit of pre-planning as well. Right. And so as we invite you to seek God, we say this every year, we're never going to tell you to do something. We're never going to tell you how much you should be giving, but we are going to encourage you to seek God, to ask God, to pray, to get that leadership from Him, and then just know that we are behind you. We are supporting you in prayer and encouragement to help you, because it takes courage to follow God a lot of times. A lot of times you'll seek God and you'll be like, okay, that feels like a stretch, but Lord, if you are inviting us into it, we trust that you're going to be faithful to follow it through. So we want to invite every single one of those of us who call Restoration Church home to go to God in that faith-filled posture, to ask Him to give us wisdom and guidance, and then to follow through and to pre-side, to decide as much as we can know of the next 12 months, right? There's a lot that we won't know what's coming, but of what we do know, how can we decide to faithfully invest in what God is doing here? And so if you got one of these booklets, if you're watching online, we'll make that available online as well. But 90% of that annual ministry budget for the year 2024 will go towards the operational, keeping doors open, being able to do events in the community, welcoming people into our space, staffing our amazing team that is able to meet our needs and to create, all of what we do week in, week out. And then the 10% that is, same as it ever was, that 10% will be invested into some of our local partnerships like Hope for San Diego, like other global partnerships, vetted organizations that we're able to respond in moments of crisis, or when there's war-torn, destruction in our world, we're able to partner alongside some organizations. So 10%, that is just core value of ours, that kind of generosity. 10% of what comes in always goes and is invested back out into areas of need around our world. So that pledge to raise $700K, pledge not given up front, but pledge to say as a community, we're going to decide to just really give us some healthy runway to plan and to sustainably build our future.
Yeah, so for year-end Strong Start, it's an $800,000 collective ask, which is big, right? We know that's a big number. $100,000 of it, Hope, is given up front by the end of 2023, and then $700,000 is pledged to be given over the course of the 12 months of 2024. And so our invitation for you today is to grab your wallet and, no, I'm just kidding. Just making sure you're paying attention. Is actually to do nothing right now, but to actually begin a process of prayer. Right, that our hope and desire is that no matter what happens financially, that this would be a season where on the other side of it, we start strong spiritually. That individually, as families, as a community, as a group, collectively representing God as Restoration Church here in San Diego, that we would have a strong start to 2024. Finances are certainly a part of that. But more importantly than that is that what if this next year you leaned in and depended on God in a new way? Deeper and stronger than you maybe ever have before in your life. That is ultimately our greatest desire. And when we put God first in our finances, He promises that everything else will fall into His place organizationally and in our families as well. And so that's our prayer for you. So take this with you. If you have any questions, you want to reach out to any of our team, you're more than welcome to. All of this is available, especially for you that are tuning in online at restorationchurchsd.com/year-end. But we would love to engage with you around this because we think this is really an incredible opportunity for us as a church to look forward to what God is doing here and around the world that we get to be a part of. So
awesome. And just know that we're praying for you, and we are so proud as just the pastors of this community. We are so humbled and honored at the way that you give, the way that you sacrifice, and we are believing that God has even more in store for us in 2024.